from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
What is up?
What's up, buddy?
Hello, hello. We can let people flood in here because they're probably being notified that you're on now. But before that happens, what's up?
Not
And then
much,
we'll
man.
intro and do everything.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. I don't think I've seen you since what, Super Bowl?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been like 3 months. 3 months. It's going by fast.
yeah, it has.
Um,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess so. The Super Bowl was like the beginning of. There's like one of the first weekends of this whole Corona thing. So
yeah. That's true.
life has
That's
gotten a little bit
crazy.
crazy since then.
Yeah. Yeah, just so everyone knows, we're gonna do a quarantine Q&A with Riley. So if you have any questions, please ask them. And just so you know, I'm the creator and founder of Dream Big and Co. Uh, done stuff with Riley and Anthony and Baker of Soar before, but you guys know who Riley is. But Riley, if you want, you can just intro what it is you do and what Soar is. That'd be
Yeah, for
great.
sure. So I'm Riley Horvath. I'm the co-founder of Soar. So we started a software company a while back, about 3 years ago. We started in sports for enterprise clients. It was like a white label platform. We would just build really cool experiences for professional sports teams. And one day we said, I think we gotta go a little bit bigger than just sports. And then we started to tackle all of entertainment as a whole. So now we're working with a lot of major artists, still major sports teams. Like I said, major artists and like the Live Nations and iHearts of the world. So they're pretty much our clients now. It's been a bit of a transition. Um, Scaling to another level is always difficult, but we started that transition stage, I guess a year and a half ago now, and we're kind of getting dialed in now.
Yeah, I know we definitely talked about it on trips before and just between us, but there's a phase of like finding your identity as a company, and then the phase of scaling. What has been the toughest thing with scaling this out and building out the software and all of that?
Um, it's a good question. Scale is always like it's a tricky animal, and I think it's different for everybody. There's a lot of things that cross over between company to company, but for everybody, you just kind of have to find what works for you. You know your team better than anybody does, so you got to kind of figure out who you have, what they're really good at, find their skills, and exploit them. Honestly, I like to keep it slim. People are saying like, "Oh, we need to hire 100 engineers and a bunch of sales guys." Like, no, fuck you don't. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Just work a little bit harder. Everybody take bigger responsibilities, and you'll be fine. Honestly, with delegation, I think it's really, really difficult for a lot of companies to do it. They don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to handle it. And then if you hire a team of that size, and you have to hire a manager that's been through it already, most startups they don't. They're learning as they go. Like us and just like everybody else. Um, yeah, I don't really
yeah.
know.
No, that's a great answer. I think that's spot on. And also like the obvious question during this time, like when the Great Depression happened, everything after that, the entire media landscape changed. The way people consume stuff
Yeah.
changed. The radio came out. So with this like pandemic happening, what's been like something that's pretty wild that you've seen, and then what are you looking forward to with like the change in the media landscape as you guys are like a major focus in changing everything?
Right. And so for us, the way I look at it, it's like media is going to be changing day to day. It's been changing for the
Yeah, that's
past
true.
decade, and it's going to continue to change. And I think it's pretty cool that we're on the forefront of the beginning of a new medium. So the way I look at it, it's like first there was you could look at first it was just like the internet where they like digitized data and information, and then it turned into another generation of like social media where people start to digitize their entire lives and they want to capture everything and show off the world like what they're doing. And now it's a new era which we're in now, and we're kind of on the forefront of. And it's more of like you're digitizing the whole world where it seems like everything you do is virtual now. Your every aspect of your day-to-day life, there's either a screen or some kind of AI that's kind of walking you through it. So being on the forefront of it, it's scary as hell because being some of the first people that are going to do it is one thing, but what is the rest of the world going to do with it when you're done? So once it's out of your control at that point, like we have a really good grasp on where we want to go, what we want to do, and the things we want to accomplish in this time. But as for everybody else, I think it's gonna be interesting to see. I guess a good example of that would be, hold on, it's like really, really windy. All my engineers are inside, so I just didn't want to
No, it's all good. But like, we
Um,
can hear you good though. That's all that matters.
all right, cool. So a good analogy for that is like when we first started, we started in sports, right? And we were just doing like face filters and fan engagement kind of things. So think about the filters that are on Instagram and Snapchat right now. We started doing that, what was it, 3.5 years ago now, when people didn't even know it existed. And at first it was like, oh wow, this is like some really cool proprietary tech, and like nobody else did it before, but it's really cool that we have it, but what do we do with it, right? And that was the biggest challenge. So you put it in the hands of the creative people and they find a use for it. And at first it was like, yeah, we could get brands to sponsor cool little experiences, make a little bit of money there. But it was gimmicky. But now it's everyday life, you know? Like now if you go on
Yeah.
Instagram, every single person has a filter on their face. But you got to look at where it originated from and how it got to that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. And then, so what's like after this Ants Outside and AMG? That's great. um, so when this subsides, what are like plans you have? Because this is kind of like an update on your guys' goals and your goals. Like what are you looking forward to, and what moves do you have like set up? You don't have to get super deep, but just
Yeah.
like umbrella of a statement of what you guys are looking forward to.
For us, I see it as like a more of another transitional stage. With this whole pandemic, we thought it would take a little bit longer for people to like adapt to technology and be comfortable with it and changing like everyday life. We thought it would take like an extra maybe year to year and a half, but with this, it kind of escalated the whole process. Um, Everybody's on their phones every single day. So essentially what we do, we can capture people and stream them in real time to anywhere in the world. So it looks like we could be having this conversation right now and it would look like you're in my living room right next to me. So another form of telecommunication. At first we thought like, yeah, it would be cool to do some concerts and things like that, entertainment space. But now we have that, and then what else? So we get a lot of people have been reaching out to us recently with a bunch of different use cases, and they're looking for our solutions. A lot of things are disrupted right now. The concerts, they're being canceled all over the world, and we have like a really nice solution for people to still put them on. It's a little bit more engaging right now. You see all the people going on like Instagram Live just like this, but for artists and things like that, where they have thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, why not let them perform that right there in their living room, as if somebody's right there with them?
It's kind of cool to see like the way you guys position yourselves and like the intersection of what's coming so rapidly. I watched Ex Machina. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. The movie where this CEO of this company, basically like the Google of the movie, creates an AI, and AI basically ends up taking over or like manipulating humans. But it was just it kind of feared me, or like it was kind of scary to see that. That could be a possibility if we don't use certain technologies right in the future.
Yeah, it's really not that far off. It's kind of weird. We're in a position where we see a lot of things that the rest of the world doesn't see. It almost seems like we can see like 5 years into the future. We know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. A lot of people don't have the access to it, but being in this space, in this kind of world, and we see it every day. So yeah, it's people are going to be very malicious with certain types of technology, and you just gotta stay true to who you are and where you want it to go, and don't get caught up in all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then just because this is going to be archived, I don't know, people might get value out of it now who are in here, but what is a big lesson through this, I don't know how long, 5 to 7 year journey, maybe even less, like of entrepreneurship? What's a big takeaway for you, like if a failure you had or something you wish you didn't do?
I guess starting sooner.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tricky question.
That's
People
interesting.
people have a lot of different views on it, but like for me, like I dropped out of college and I I think my biggest mistake was going at all. But at the same time, I look at things and I got that experience, you know. I think that was really important, and I'll never have like that. What is it like, you know? Because I experienced it, I learned it, I've seen it, I did it for a year. But I think it's important to just experience as many things as you possibly can.
Yeah, yeah, that's spot on. Go out and try, like, taste all the soups.
Yeah, well, you
Um,
know, why not?
yeah, yeah. And so with all that being said, we got update on goals. We know what you guys have going on. You're basically like forging the future in a way. Um, what what is something you're excited about beyond just tech and AR, VR? We have an addiction to solving hard problems. Hey, there you
Yeah.
go, Ant. um, what I mean, no, let's not talk about that because I want to focus just on like Soar and you. Um, what has been a bigger challenge then during this time? Because we love talking about like the good stuff and like the possible successes coming up, but what's been really challenging? Because you're going through a development phase too, because you're building out the actual platform. Like, what's been a challenge
hmm
with all that?
Like you said, like solving hard problems is kind of we get a really big thrill out of it. If it's not difficult, we literally don't want to do it.
Yeah,
So I guess what's next? Like, what problem do we have to solve next? Because every day, every week, like you get thrown a shitstorm and you just kind of get tossed into it. You got to figure out how to adapt and get yourself out of it. So yeah, there's so much that
yeah.
happens every day. I'm
I
trying to like come up with one example.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing you guys do well too, and I'm sure people will begin to see it as like months progress. But like you, Baker, and Ant do a good job of complementing each other. I think it's important when starting a company or a business to get founders that not only are invested into what you're doing, but they complement you. Because I'm talking to a lot of my friends now, like seriously, they're like either contemplating stopping a startup or like readjusting based on
Ah,
like the team they had, you know?
nah, I mean everybody goes through it. There's like early, especially early on, even when it's not early, you're thinking like, oh my God, how much longer can I do this for? It's just like when all like this stress adds up and you have to like climb this big giant mountain in front of you. You're like, do I really have it in me? Do I still have this? And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
fuck yeah, you do. You just you gotta stop thinking that it's you want to stop this because like what happens if next week like the world changes for you? You know what I mean? You just gotta keep on like trekking through.
yeah. Did you ever have those moments for you and yourself with Soar
Yeah, I
and with
mean
other
all the
guys?
time. We don't really
Yeah.
have it anymore. When it's a much different position that we're in now. But like
But
early on, yeah,
when
it's
you did go
scary as
through it,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. That's where your core team has to really come in and, like you said, complement each other well. And it's interesting because like Anthony, myself, and Baker, um, we're like polar opposites, honestly. Like I never, growing up, I never thought like Baker would be one of my best friends. We were just different types of people, but like you said, we complement each other so well, and it just works very well. And you can learn a lot from people that are much different than you. You just got to kind of go into it with an open mind and make sure they're true to you and you can trust them. If you have like the trust and the faith there, then you're pretty much good.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And just so people know, this is a Q&A. So if you want to drop any questions in the next couple minutes before we cap it off, you can. Um, I think I've been learning a lot, bro, during this time of it's not necessarily about like the successes or like getting to a point of being successful. It's more so like what's your skill set and like what value do you have. And I think you guys do that so well. You're just like super low key and you're just focused on like building immense value with the tech you have.
hmm
I like that a lot. Is there anything new you're learning during this time? Like any new skill sets or things you're focusing on?
I learn every single day. Like that's
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like I don't think you have to be good at a certain thing to be like to have success running a startup. Like you have to just have the ability to adapt and to change and constantly be learning. Like there's a lot of things that I really wasn't good at and honestly had no clue about when we first started this, but now like pretty fluent. Like last night, I've never built a computer. I've never been like that type. I've never really enjoyed it. I like building things, but it was never like technology. But Aunt and I last night we built this crazy ass computer. It's like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But like we just built it in a couple hours. Like to me, that was really cool. I learned so much. Yeah, things like that. Like
Yeah.
every single day is a challenge, and you just kind of got to keep going.
Yeah, I think it's like the characteristics of just like being a student of the game, but
Yeah, for
like
sure.
having that curiosity, because then that you have to be humble in order to be a constant learner, you know?
And then it comes back to like always wanting to solve hard problems. You keep learning, and like it's not to me. It's like it's not fun to learn unless it's challenging. You don't want to read
Yeah.
like one page of a book and okay, I got it, I understand it. Like it's really not that difficult to learn. But if you have to read the entire book and it's a really hard problem, it means a lot more once you do overcome that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this will be appreciated a lot more since it's going to live on YouTube, and for like the
Oh,
people who are in here now, because no, seriously, I think that's a huge point, because a lot of times like first time founders or entrepreneurs, like they might not know everything, but even with that being said, they have this imposter syndrome or like lack of belief. But it doesn't really matter. It just comes down to what you said, just the constantly learning and trying to apply and fail and learn and do it again, you know?
I think a big part of it now is like people have this infatuation to like put their life out there on social and like everybody needs to know exactly what they're doing and slow down. And it's not going to happen overnight, and like the world doesn't need to see what you're doing all the time. You know what I mean? Work in silence, and once you make it, like the world, if it's important enough, the world will know either way. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
way we think about it. Like, do a lot of cool shit. We're building some really cool stuff, but like nobody needs to know. It keeps life a lot simpler that way. Obviously, there's no like PR nightmares or anything like that. Like, keep it internal, hang out. You guys know that you're doing well. Celebrate the wins with each other, but like, you don't need the whole
Mhm.
world to know. You know?
Yeah. Build cool shit and be silent while doing
Yeah, exactly.
it.
Be stealthy.
Yeah.
It's what it's all about.
Yeah. No, you do that best. And we got this one's a funny question. Will that computer have the capability to create a time travel opportunity?
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's my
no,
boy
make
John. I sent it to him last night. He's like, "That's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life."
No, I can attest to it too. It was pretty futuristic when I
Yeah.
saw. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to mention or bring up. If you wanted to mention anything else for the documentation of this, you can. But other than that, we can end it here.
Hmm. Like I said, we're very stealthy. So I
Yeah.
guess
Keep that in
yeah,
mind,
I'm
everyone.
good, man.
Cool. I'll talk to you like really soon or whenever. But
Yeah, man. Give
thanks
me a
for
call.
hopping on.
Sounds good, Brad. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
Later.
Strong like a tree. There's roots where I